Agriculture is a very important part of India's economy. The Indian Science Congress is focusing on rural development. I have with me Dr. Renu Swarup. She is a scientist and also the secretary of the Department of Biotechnology. Let's understand what is the role of biotechnology in agriculture, in rural development, and more importantly, how will biotechnology help in the doubling of farmers' income? Dr. Renu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has repeatedly spoken about doubling of the farmers' income in the next 2 years. Do you have a role in that?
Biotechnology has a very important role in each of the sector, and agriculture is one of our most important sectors. We have a role in bringing new technology to the sector. We have a role in trying to see through these new technologies and interventions. How do we add value to what our existing systems are, whether it is our systems of breeding or whether it's our systems of crop improvement? And I think that really is the role that we have. The Department of Biotechnology has been working on all the priority crops that we have, be it rice, wheat, maize, some of our underutilized crops, looking at soya bean. And this is what we are trying to see. How do we bring in technology interventions for both improved productivity and production?
One thing which has been a runaway success from the Department of Biotechnology has been the introduction of the genetically modified cotton, which is BT cotton. It has been a runaway success, but after 2003, we haven't seen another genetically modified crop being grown in the farmer's field on an official basis. What is the status? Do you think genetically modified crops have a role in the doubling of farmers' income like Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants?
So the GM technology, and as you said, the success of the GM technology with BT cotton is something which is there on record. We have the data, and that itself tells you what the importance of the technology is. Not having another crop in the field is, of course, not an indication that we do not have research going on different crops. There is a lot of research which is going on to try and see how, using the GM technology, we can have crop improvement in terms of different traits that are being looked at. There is research in an advanced stage which is being supported by the government in public sector laboratories, keeping their research ready with all scientific data. We have a very robust regulatory system, and that robust regulatory system ensures that all the research that they do, right from the selection, the initial selection of the event that they're going to take forward, to be able to bring it to the greenhouses and glass houses. Beyond that, when it has to go for the field trial, it moves to the Genetic Appraisal Committee, the GAC, which is the Ministry of Environment. They've had certain discussions in that. Some of the recent crops which got into discussion were actually cleared by GAC to go to the state government. So it's a complex issue where we need to bring in the state government for allowing the field trials, etc. So yes, there has been a delay in that. That crop we have not seen in the field, but there is a lot of research which is going on both in terms of vegetable crops and in terms of some of our important crops like rice, wheat, and some of the vegetables like cauliflower, BT, brinjal, etc.
Meaning the research on genetically modified crops has not stopped. Introduction in the farmer's field will happen whenever the Ministry of Environment gives a clearance. But at the DBT, you have not stopped research on it.
We continue to support research. We continue to support research because it's very important. It's important because we need to keep our capacities there, both in terms of our younger generation who's coming forward as a scientist, in terms of our laboratories, and also to be at par with other countries around the world. We would not want to be sitting back and not having access to the new technologies just because we are not taking it forward. So I think our research is going on. There is a complete regulatory understanding of what is required. Our RCGM and other committees keep looking at what the regulatory requirements are and keeping it ready so that whenever there is a clearance from the GAC, we will be able to take our crops out for field trial.
There have been now more than one occasion where we have seen the farmer has taken a lead and gone ahead and planted commercially genetically modified crops. We saw it with BT brinjal. Now we are seeing with herbicide tolerant BT cotton. Some way or the other, the farmers, it seems, are craving for GM crops in their field. Where is the stumbling block and how can it be overcome?
Planting anything without approval is not something which is legal, and that is obviously not looked at by us from the government in any positive manner of the technology's goodness. Yes, the technology is good, the technology has its own advantages. The farmers who use it would look at it with that interest, but however, unless and until it gets a clearance from the government, it is not permitted to be grown. So anything that is grown without a government permission, we do not look at it in terms of any of their data, etc., and that is something which action is taken on if it is illegally grown. But the advantages of a technology is something which is looked at. We have data from other countries as well. The BT brinjal data from Bangladesh has been very promising, and now even the GAC has now looked at that data to try and see how that could be one of the tools to look at their decision making aspects. So I think the GM technology data, but having said that, it's very important that we have a proper scientific evidence which backs up the safety and the efficacy of that particular crop which moves out. So for that, the scientists work very rigorously through the biosafety regulatory framework that we've done to make sure that all the data that is collected is in accordance with whatever our biosafety regulations are.
There's another issue which has kind of worried a lot of Indians, especially in northern India, is this whole issue of air pollution. And some people blame a lot of the air pollution on the burning of stubble, especially paddy stubble. Uh, I know Department of Biotechnology has developed some technologies for converting what is, I don't call it waste, I think it's a resource, into a even better product. Tell us a little bit about this whole issue on how you're handling crop waste or crop resource. I should rather call it resource.
Very rightly said. In fact, we also look at it as a waste to value program when we talk about it, because it's not really a waste. It's something that we can convert value to. The department has a number of such programs that we've supported, and our major program was looking at agriculture waste, as it's called, and seeing how we convert it into 2G ethanol. And we have a well established technology for it. That technology has already been demonstrated at 10 ton scale in Kashipur. The plant was inaugurated by our Honorable Minister about 3 years back.
I was there for it.
Yes, we're very pleased that it has got a very good recognition. And in fact, the best is that now that technology has been transferred to the oil marketing company, and we are now looking at setting up commercial refineries based on that technology. So, that itself will be a very important lead that the technology will be able to give us for converting waste. But it's also important in the current scenario. If you look at this agriculture, which is waste, which is there now in farmers' fields, we are also trying to now see how we can downscale that technology so that we have smaller plants which can be set up in decentralized modes within village communities. Sort of have a community plant where everyone can get their waste together, because taking all of it to large refineries sometimes also becomes a supply chain issue. So we will need a mix of both, and that we are already working on, and probably we will have these downsized plants also ready very soon, which can be an alternate to some of these. We also are looking at municipal solid waste, we're looking at municipal liquid waste, and very recently now, as a part of our 100-day agenda, we've actually signed MOUs with 10 local bodies to take our technologies for scale up, and those would be ready very soon. Work has started on all those sites for converting both agriculture waste, dairy waste, and municipal waste into value.
But this crop waste, or I should, I again, people call it crop waste. We should call it crop resource, because getting a biological product like that in large numbers, which can then be a base bed for so many other chemicals like ethanol. Why is it so hard? Because if we get more 2G ethanol into the market, it helps you reduce your import bill on oils. Then why is the penetration so slow?
It's not about the penetration being slow, it's the technology that goes to convert it. It's basically different technologies that we have. We also have to look at the cost of the ethanol that comes out of it. So it has to be a cost effective technology. Generally, when we do things at large scale, the economies of scale make it a viable technology. For bringing it down to a smaller scale, the technology needs certain modifications so that you ensure that it is still a cost effective technology. Because only if it is a cost effective end product will the farmer get some value for the waste that they call to convert it into a resource. Otherwise, nobody is going to pick up his or
But
her
just
waste.
add the health cost of air pollution to it. How much you have suffered, how much I have suffered because of air pollution. Trust me, it is more than cost effective. Please multiply it. I think that is a crying need for the country.
I totally agree with you, and I think that's why our scientists are working on it, because it's all about the cost economics and bringing the technology to that scale where it becomes viable in small decentralized units. Our scientists are working, it's a priority for us. We hope very soon we should be able to demonstrate some of these small scale plants in addition to the commercial refinery that we are setting up.
Also, see that I've seen the development of new varieties of wheat, the black, purple wheat. What is the thrust on that? Because that is also going to be a value addition for farmers, which will go on to help in doubling of the farmers' income.
So this is a very important technology, Pallav, and this is in fact just to also demonstrate that GM technology is not the only technology which brings in crop improvement. There is a lot of work which is going on the marker assisted selections that we are doing, the genomic strength that we have, and the black and the purple wheat is a clear demonstration of that. It is an anthocyanin rich wheat which has been brought out through the selection process, and that today is being grown with the farmers, and we are now looking at bringing in the consumer acceptance that we are working on similar improved varieties from the nutritional aspect, also from the climate resilient aspect in terms of rice, wheat and maize. And these varieties, in fact nearly 10 such varieties have already been released. They're across the country. We are getting good results on them, and now we have started our major mission which is going to be launched very very soon, that is on doing a complete germplasm characterization through the genomic technology, looking at the genotyping and the phenotyping of our rice, wheat and maize core collections. Once we get to do that, we will be able to release to the farmers pre-breeding material which will accelerate their breeding process to bring out improved varieties. And this is a mission that we should launch very soon.
So, can you say for sure that the Department of Biotechnology will not be lagging behind in trying to help farmers double their income like the way Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants, or dhila dhila hai?
Department of Biotechnology never lags behind in anything. We have always, in all these years, 33 years of the department's existence, made a concerted effort to see that we are right there in terms of all cutting edge technologies, not just preparing ourselves in terms of capacities, but making sure that the technologies we develop get delivered. And for this, we work very closely with all our line ministries, be it the Ministry of Agriculture, ICR, in terms of agriculture, and the crop improvement in terms of waste, looking at working with Ministry of Environment, with the Petroleum Ministry, and in health, of course, the Health Ministry and ICMR. So we are right there. Our scientists are geared up to make sure that they bring the latest technologies globally available within the country, indigenously develop them, and be able to deliver for the improvement of our society.
So that was Dr. Renu Sarup telling us that the Department of Biotechnology will not be left lagging behind in trying to help farmers double their income. And the important point she made, research on genetically modified crops continues as and when the regulatory system and the Ministry of Environment is ready for its release alongside with the Ministry of Agriculture, because they play a critical role, then we would not be left lagging behind. For certainly, in the doubling of farmers' income, genetically modified crops, purple, black, other kinds of wheat which are there, and the non-GM technology will play a critical role. In New Delhi, Pallava, Bagla.